Well, hello and welcome to Siggy Air. Today we're going to fly like it was 1995. Yes, 1995 because that was the year Microsoft released the last MS-DOS version of Microsoft Flight Simulator. That was version 5.1. We're going to take a flight like we used to fly back then and how we used to navigate back then, which was by VOR navigation. And I'm just going to show you an example of how I used to fly back then when we didn't have GPS, when we didn't have all these maps that will show you your exact position, when we didn't have ILS runways and things like that. VOR navigation is still part of your training as a private pilot. We're going to show you how some of the basics here. Now, VOR navigation can be complicated and sometimes can be hard to understand. But I'm going to show you just the basics here, and we're going to do a quick flight from Boston to Martha's Vineyard via the Marconi VOR at the Cape in Massachusetts, Cape Cod. Parts of it I'm going to speed up so the video doesn't become too long, and I'm just going to show you the essentials here. We're going to set up navigation through radials in the VOR, and I'm just going to quickly show you what I mean in terms of so when you are in this particular case, the VOR for Boston is located right at the airport, so it's right over here. And the VOR just basically it's a radio transmitter that transmits frequencies for each of the radials. And one of the frequencies transmits magnetic north. So all these radios you can tune into using your VOR radio in your aircraft. And if you tune into a particular radio, you can track that radio all the way out of the VOR, or which is called from the VOR, and or all the way into the VOR, which is called to the VOR. So in this particular case, I have shown here the radial to the Marconi VOR at the Cape is the 131 radial, and it's showing the nautical miles here on your flight planning here. But we're not going to use DMEs, or distant measuring equipment, because back then the 152 did not have any DME. We're going to use the VOR, and we're going to use other VORs to track exactly where we are. And I'm going to show you that as we fly along. Now, I'm not going to use the 152 just because I need to have the autopilot. The 152 doesn't have an autopilot. And I can't do the things that I want to do here and show you the things that I want to show you when I have to fly the airplane at the same time, because I tried that and it didn't go well. Anyway, but I'm going to try to recreate the situations as much as I can in terms of the flying experience as we used to do back in 1995. All right, so let me get back to the airplane here, and what we're going to do is go into the radios here, and I'm going to switch the screen here to flight plans so it doesn't show where we are. So just trying to recreate that as much as I can. The first thing I'm going to do is just to tune into the Boston VOR. Boston VOR is 112.7. So we come here to the radio and just click on this push CV, and it will bring you down to the bottom one, and you tune in to 112.7 like that, and then we switch to it. So that becomes the active nav. And then we're going to change our CDI to V-lock. 'Lock. All right, so so That's the first thing we're gonna do, and we're gonna keep that way. We're gonna take off from runway 24 in Boston Logan Airport. All right, so make sure we are runway 27. I'm sorry, yeah, runway 27. For some reason, I thought it was 24, but it's 27. Anyway, we're gonna fly. Yes, here we're gonna fly runway heading 27, which is actually this way. 27, 24. So we're gonna fly this way. Runway heading, and then we're gonna turn south. And then east, because we want to be able to pick up the 131 radial on the Boston VOR and then track that all the way down to the Cape Marconi VOR. So that's basically what we're going to do there. All right, so let's get back here. Let's set up our autopilot here. We're going to be doing 3,000 feet and have the cloud coverage, so we're gonna be on IFR flight within the cloud coverage all the way to when we get to Martha's Vineyard, and as we descend into Martha's Vineyard, we're gonna get clear visuals after 1,000 feet. So hopefully when we get to Martha's Vineyard, we're lined up on runway 24 over there based on our navigation here with VORs. So set that altitude there, and we're going to just wait until we get up in the air. Okay, all right. We got no wind and overcast conditions up to 3,000 feet. All right, so we're looking good. And rotate. Okay, so we're gonna do runway heading here, and as soon as we cleared the runway and we put our flaps up, just enjoy a little bit of Boston scenery over here before we get into the midst of the overcast conditions. All right, let's set up our all right, let's set up our autopilot. And we're gonna go up, autopilot up, and not that much. We're just gonna do 600 feet per minute. Okay. Okay, I just want to show you that in 1995, this version, Flight Simulator 5.1, last DOS version came out, and they gave you a nice pilot handbook, and this was very useful. And we'll go a couple of, we'll show you a couple of things over here. It also came in with a couple of maps, and this particular one is from the Boston area to New York, so sort of the northeast Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and then here's Long Island. And they give you these VORs, and you can set up your navigation to, if you wanted to go from, Boston to New York. You just set up your navigation through these VORs, however you wanted to do it. If you wanted to go the southern route here, or if you want to go to Martha's Vineyard into the Long Island and then into Kennedy, however you wanted to do it. And so this was very useful, pretty cool at the time. I just loved the map, and I made some calculations here. I used to use a pencil to kind of draw the headings and things like that. And here, actually, I don't want to get too much ahead of myself. I want to make sure that I kind of follow. Let's go back to our flight here, and we wanted to make sure that we turn east so we can pick up that 135 radial. So let's turn east, and we get back to the other explanation on the book. So we're going to turn east here. We're going to set up the radial here from the Boston VOR, and we want to pick up the 131 radial. Alright, so 131 over here. Okay, so hopefully that will come in soon. So let me go back to the flight planning that we did over here. Planning over here. So right now we're going. We went south and then turned east to pick up this 131 radial. So this is our initial flight plan from Boston VOR to the Marconi VOR on the Cape, and then from there we're just going to go southwest on a 128 on the 128 radial from the Marconi VOR until we get to this point Peaky over here. But we didn't have that advantage to be able to have those waypoints available to us. So what we're gonna do, and what we used to do, is that we're gonna grab the Nantucket VOR, which is down here. Let's see if I can show you that Nantucket VOR right here. Let's get rid of this. The Nantucket VOR, and we're going to kind of set up a radial. In this case, it will be like the 330 radial. So we're going to intersect Peaky over here, and once we cross that radial, we'll know that we are going to be about 14 miles from Martha's Vineyard. So if we get into over here, we know when we did our planning that Peaky is about 14 miles from Martha's Vineyard's airport. So Martha's Vineyard, we're going to be landing on runway 24. So what we're going to do is actually, after we come in and hit that radial from the Nantucket VOR, we're going to grab the 240 radial. So we're kind of lined up with it's just this way. We're gonna get kind of lined up with the 240 runway over here. Okay, so let's get back to our flights. Just want to make sure we don't miss this radial here that's coming in. This should be moving pretty soon over here. And one more thing, so if we go back to, so we should be around, going around here, that we're 47 miles, we'll be 47 miles from this VOR to the Marconi VOR. But since we don't have the advantage of a DME instrument, we're gonna have to use radials to kind of pinpoint where we are. A couple of ways we can do it. We can tune into the Marconi VOR, and as we fly in, we're flying to the Marconi VOR, and when this switches over to from 2 to 2, I guess it's a little play on words here, we know we would be over the Marconi VOR, and we need to turn and southwest and then to pick up the 228. We can do that, or we can set up a radial. We can set up the a radial to kind of like the 10 or the 15. In this case would be more like the 15 or 20 radial, and once we cross that radial from the Nantucket VOR, we know that we're going to be over there, and we turn southwest. See, let's go back to our flight over here. Let's see where we are. This needle is starting to move, so we know we're going to have to turn 131. Sometimes it's kind of hard to do it and pick it up at the same time, so we may have to turn the heading to 150 until this gets in the middle, and then move it to 131 again. We're coming in, and we're not hitting it exactly at 45-degree angle, so we're kind of softly, kind of a little shallow angle into the 131. That's why it's not moving as quickly as I want it to, but I don't want to mess around too much with it. Alright, so we're pretty close. Should be getting ready to hit that 131. So actually we can start kind of turning around softly and into 131. 31 in there. Okay, let's just a little bit more. I want to center that, right in there. Remember, if the line this line is to the left, you need to turn into the left to pick it up. And then once it's centered, then you set up your heading to 131 just to follow that radial in there. Alright, I think we're good. So we set it to 131, and we'll just follow that radial in there. Meantime, what we can do here is to set up our second nav radio to the Nantucket VOR. And the Nantucket VOR is 116.2. So let's get down to 116.2. 16.2, we'll switch that in there. And we are going to set up like we said. What was it? Perhaps it was 10, 15. So let's try to pick up that radio. Is 10, 12 maybe. Alright. It's not an exact thing, it's like you have to play around with it a little bit. Okay, so let me get back to what I was discussing before. So if we get back to our maps here, I wanted to show you this. So there's the pilot's handbook. It's on page 142. I give instructions here how to set up your 2nav radio to pinpoint your position. So there's several ways you can do it. You can here they tell you that you can identify your exact position by tuning into two VORs and finding the radio you're currently intercepting for each VOR. So right now we are on the 131 on the Boston VOR. And then we set up the Nantucket VOR to the 10. So the point at which the two radials intersect is your position. So going back to our map over here, so we are on the 131 radio, and we set up the Nantucket VOR radio to the 10. So once we come in down and we cross here, we know that we're going to be on top of that Marconi VOR, and then we should be turning southwest to intersect. And at that point we'll switch the VORs to the Marconi VOR, and we set up the radio for the 228 radio, and then we'll go down to Martha's Vineyard. Okay, so that sounds like a plan. And why don't we just make a little bit of a correction here over here, and in the meantime, why don't I just speed up the video, so doesn't make, it's just probably going to take another 15 minutes to get to that Marconi VOR. I'll speed it up, and I'll catch you when this needle starts coming into the center. Alright? Okay, so while we speed to the Cape, I just want to remind you that if you like this video and you find this useful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. And stay tuned till the end of this video, because I'm going to be announcing the winner of the $20 Microsoft gift certificate. Thank you. Okay, we're back, and as you can see, that needle started to move into the center. That means we are about to cross or over the Marconi VOR, and we should be once we're in the center over here, maybe just a little bit past, we're gonna turn to a heading of 200 going southwest, and then after that we're going to turn into a heading of 300 until we pick up the 228 radial from the Marconi VOR. So we're going to set up the Marconi VOR in our nav1 once we get here. Alright, so let's set up the Marconi VOR, which is LFV, it's 114.7. Yeah. Switch that. Then we're going to turn 200. That means that we just crossed over the Marconi VOR, and you see if it's from. So we're doing good. We're doing well. So turning 200, and we're going to set up our radial from the Marconi VOR, and that's going to be 228. Okay. So far so good. We'll just stay on this heading a little bit longer until we turn 300 or so, maybe 330 or so, just to pick up that 228 radial from the Marconi VOR. In the meantime, we can set up the radial from the Nantucket one, and what we wanted from the Nantucket one is to be somewhere 320, 330. Let's see if we can get back over here. So we wanted this to be over here. So that is actually a little bit this way. So it looks like it's 330. Alright, so set up to 330 over here. And why don't we just go ahead and turn 300 or so. So we go ahead and pick up the 228. Start turning a little bit to the south so we don't hit that 228 too roughly and that needle changes too quickly, which is starting to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and slowly start turning to 228. Alright, so we're smack in the middle of it, and we turn 228, and we'll just follow that until this needle from the Nantucket VOR gets in the middle, and then we're going to start our descent. Alright, so you don't have to watch that all the time, so I'm just going to speed it up a little bit until this needle starts moving back. So I'll see you back when the needle moves. Here at the center, that means we are close to crossing where we should be starting to set up our descent. Let's come here and go down to, let's say, 600 and set up our descent rate to be about 600 per minute. Okay, and now we can switch to the Martha's Vineyard VOR, which is 114.5. Okay, and we're going to pick up the 240 radial, which we are right smack in the middle, and so we are over that 240 radial. And instead it turned a little bit, it's moving this way, so we might as well kind of come in and try to pick up in the middle there. Alright, so it looks like we're on top of it, that radial, so we're going to turn 240. See where we are. We're in the middle of the clouds, so excellent, that's what we want. Alright. A little bit here so we don't lose that. We just want to be really aligned with runway 24 when we get there. And I think we're going too fast. Should be reducing our speed here. Alright, so let's see where we are now. Yeah, I'm just getting into Martha's Vineyard. And let's make sure that we are at the right speed. Getting to 600. It looked like we were aligned with 240 on the radio, and let's see. I don't want to go too slow, so let's be here at 80. Let's put a set of flaps here. And there's the runway. There we are. Fantastic. So, just like we used to do back then with our navigation, VOR navigation, this is really a fallback type of navigation. So let's say you really don't have a GPS, your GPS instrumentation and your plane is kind of like was lost, whatever. You can always fall back to the good old radios and VORs for basic navigation. It will take you right there where you need to be if you kind of set it up correctly and follow the radials correctly and all of that. So let's get set up here for a nice landing. And I'm just going to get rid of the autopilot and just manually go back in here. A little bit slow, but it's alright. Let's get aligned with that runway. I think we're not totally in line with the runway, and that has to do with the fact that the VOR stations are not exactly where the airport is or the runways. So this VOR station is not at the end of this runway. So there's a little bit of difference here. But it's just gonna get you exactly where you want to be, and maybe you need to make some little corrections here and there, and once you get to your destination you make the necessary corrections. Alright, let's put another set of flaps here. Make sure that we are at the correct landing speed here. Oh, beautiful landing, if I say so myself. Alright, let's pick up. This runway at the end. So Martha's Vineyard is a little bit tricky. You have to pick up this runway at the end and then get into the taxiways. And as always, there's some, I don't know what Microsoft AI does this, because there's always, every time I land anywhere, they just bring in a car or a truck or whatever, in this case a fuel truck, right in the middle of where you want to go. So, alright buddy. And then they kind of get in there and then kind of block you. I think they do this on purpose. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if this happens to you. By the way, I just wanted to announce our winner for the winner of the Microsoft $20 gift certificate from our last video, and that is Nick A. Nick A. So I'll be in contact with you, so you can pick up your, or I can send you the $20 gift certificate from Microsoft. So if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe, and we have many more good instructional videos that we do here. We do some fun videos. So if you like this video and you find the video useful and you learn something, just hit that smash that like button, and let me know what you think if in the comment section. So Appreciate your staying here with us, me and Siggy, for this particular trip, and let me get the landing here set up for this parking space, and that will bring to an end this video. Alright. Okay. Alright. Thank you again for flying Siggy Air, and we'll see you on the next one.